Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a detailed review of the new Xiaomi Mi 10i. So Xiaomi Mi 10i is the latest smartphone announced by Xiaomi under the 20 to 25k price segment, and it comes with 5G support as well. So how good is the device? How is it worthy device to buy, and what are the features it offers? What are the functions? What are the pros and cons of the Mi 10i? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. So the Mi 10i pricing starts at 28,999 for the base variant, and it comes in 6GB RAM, and it goes up to 8GB RAM and 128GB of storage. So this is Xiaomi's first mid-range smartphone with 5G support in the 20 to 25k price segment. So let's see how good it is, and is it worthy for the price segment. So if this is your first time on this channel, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. Now coming back to the review. So first let's have a look at the design and build quality. Now if you look at the design aspect, you can see that this is kind of standout design. It actually looks pretty good with the circular camera layout, the four lenses placed pretty neatly, the LED flash included, and you can see that even with a 108 megapixel sensor, the projection of the camera or rather the camera bump has been minimized, and you can see it looks pretty good in terms of design aspect. You can see the dual tone or rather the gradient finish looks pretty good. Now the fingerprint scanner is on the side panel, and if you look at the display as well, you can also see that the punch hole camera looks quite good. So overall it is definitely a good looking smartphone out there. Now the weight aspect, it is more than 200 grams in weight. It may not be the heaviest of devices out there because Poco X3 is pretty heavy device. Now considering that this is kind of lighter, but if you look at the other smartphones in this price segment, maybe it's slightly on the higher side, but still once you start using it, you don't actually feel a big issue with the weight, and the weight distribution is also quite good, and it's a pretty good device in terms of usage as well. Now talking about the build quality, now this is made of glass finishing and it feels pretty solid, and it has a plastic frame although, but overall build quality feels quite good, the fit and finish, and the looks also looks great. So build quality wise, we feel it's quite a good looking smartphone and pretty good and solidly built device as well. Now let's move on to the display. Now this is one area where a lot of debate has been happening, because most of the devices probably in the 20 to 30k price segment comes with AMOLED display. Now this is not an AMOLED display, it's an IPS LCD panel. It's an adaptive refresh rate IPS LCD panel. Now you might ask, what is adaptive refresh rate? Now adaptive refresh rate is something like it changes the refresh rate based on what apps you're using, what functions you're doing. So that is something which is quite different. So unlike your regular smartphone, it comes with adaptive refresh rate. You can either choose 60 Hz or 120 Hz, but phone automatically switches the refresh rate based on the apps it is running. Now it's an IPS LCD panel, so you might ask it's not as good as the AMOLED. So that's true to an extent, but this IPS LCD panel actually feels quite good. Now this is having good colors, good display as well. The touch response feels pretty smooth. The sharpness levels are impressive, and even the brightness levels are also quite acceptable, even though it may not be directly comparable to an AMOLED display. Now there is also Gorilla Glass protection offered. So the display quality is definitely good, and the refresh rate, 120 Hz refresh rate, does give a good overall feel to it. Now moving on to the software. So this is one area where Xiaomi needs to improve. Now not that MIUI 12 is bad or it does lack features, but the problem is the amount of bloatware it ships. Now if you look at the device, when you buy the device, it comes with a lot of bloatware, a lot of games, apps are pre-installed, which Xiaomi could have avoided. That's what we have been saying quite a long time now, and most of them are uninstallable. Around 80 to 90% of these apps are uninstallable. So that means you can actually remove them. So we have actually removed those apps. Now there are a few apps like the Get apps which do throw in a lot of notifications. So what you need to do is, once you get the device, you need to do a bit of workaround, disabling all the notifications, uninstalling all the apps. So once you've done that, this feels much better. But again, considering how the OnePlus Nord or the Samsung Galaxy M51 offers, the UI is not as good as those devices. That's kind of one thing which you have to consider. And apart from that, even for a phone launched in 2021, there is no Android 11 offered. So that's something which is kind of disappointing, but Xiaomi has mentioned that they will be providing updates, so we'll have to wait and see when that comes in. So apart from that, we feel software experience, as you all know, MIUI experience, it's quite good. There are lots of options offered. If you look at the UI, you can see that it offers plethora of options, including customizations, navigational options, then themes, wallpaper support. So all those things are included here. So UI is feature rich, but a few more tweaks are needed to make it a bit more cleaner. That's the only difference here. Now next, let's talk about the performance. So this device runs on the Snapdragon 750G octa-core processor. Now 750G is one of the newer chipsets, and we have seen this on the Moto G5G launched in India a couple of months back. Now the 750G is quite comparable to the 765G. Only difference is that the 750G has slightly better CPU performance, while the 765G has slightly better GPU performance. Other than that, more or less both are quite similar in performance. So if you look at the AnTuTu score as well, you might see that both are equally well placed in terms of the AnTuTu or the benchmarking scores. Now in terms of day-to-day performance, we hardly see any issues. It's very smooth performance, no lags whatsoever. Now we have done a detailed gaming review. There we found that if you do intensive gaming for like 45 to 50 minutes, then you might see some heat generated almost close to 46.5. That's something definitely a concern for heavy gamers. But again, this is not a purely gamers device, and not all people do game for longer periods. But if you are person who games for longer period, then you might have to consider this aspect, because it goes up to 46.5 in our testing. Now next, the fingerprint scanner performance. So this device has pretty good fingerprint scanner. You can see that it's pretty fast in unlocking. So there you go, it's pretty fast. Even the face unlock is quite smooth. Now moving on to the call quality. Now this device has 5G support, while we have no option to test 5G as of now, and we don't have any idea whether this will support Indian 5G bands, because that has to be known only when the bands have been auctioned in India. So we have to wait and see if there is full 5G support on this compared to the OnePlus Nord. So we'll have to wait on that. Now this device has 4G LTE and VoLTE and voice over Wi-Fi. So we tested that. We did not see any issues with Jio as well as Idea Vodafone network. Now this device has a dual speakers, so that's something which is pretty good. Dual speakers gives a really good output, and the speaker quality is something which is really good. Now next, moving on to the camera. So we have a quad camera setup. We have a 108 megapixel Samsung's HM2 sensor, and then we have an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth sensor, and a 16 megapixel selfie camera. Now we have done a detailed camera review. We found the camera to be really good. A detailed camera review is uploaded on our channel. You can check out that. The details are really good. The colors are pretty much natural colors, good amount of details being offered. Then sharpness levels are impressive. The daylight captures came out really well. Even the close-up shots and the macros were really impressive. The portraits have come pretty good, and then even the low light experience was pretty much better, or rather best in this price segment, with good low light experience being offered. Now the selfie experience was also quite okay. So if you want more details on the camera, you can have a check out video on the detailed camera review. But one thing what we noticed about the camera is that the video recording was not really stellar, especially the 4K 30 fps, and there's no 4K 60 fps, and there's no EIS offered on the 4K sample. That's something which we feel Xiaomi could have included at this price segment. Now finally, the battery life. So this device has a 4820 mAh capacity battery, and the battery life is stellar. And in our testing, we got like 9 hours of screen on time, which is really impressive. Again, screen on time depends upon person to person. Some people might get even more. In our testing, we got around 8 to 9 hours screen on time, which is kind of average, we feel. If you are not a heavy user, you might get about 10 hours, which again depends upon the apps and games you are testing. So that is something depending upon person to person. Now this also has 33 watt fast charging, and the charging test also is uploaded, so it takes like 1 hour to charge, which is really impressive. So battery life is stellar on the the Mi 10i. So summing up, how good is a Mi 10i for 28,999? So we feel Mi 10i offers great value at this price segment. Good design and good build quality, good display, 120Hz refresh rate, good performance all around, good camera experience, in fact excellent camera experience, probably the best in this price segment. Good battery life, fast charging, everything is included. The only downside probably we feel is the software experience, a lot of bloatwares are included, and also Android 11 is not offered. That's something which is the downside. Otherwise, we feel the Xiaomi Mi 10i is a good offering at this price segment. If you're looking for a good mid-range device in the 25k price segment, without doubt the Mi 10i offers great value at this price segment. So that is a detailed review of the Mi 10i. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit the red subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.